dečki, me čujete? Jandra, ekipa. Nestala mi je komunikacija ova. Ja nećem više komunikaciju, sve je bilo ok, ne znam da li gore, meni baterije su ovdje ok, a ne znam gore šta se događa. Znači sad sam na walkie-talkie isključivo.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome along to day 2 of Valencia Super Speed Week. It is round 8 of the 2020 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. The NASCAR Pro Division will be heading out onto circuit very shortly for their second of 4 races over the course of this weekend. It's badged as Super Week because we not only have rounds 7 and 8 of the championship, we also have the final 1 and final 2 as well, and they will be coming up over the course of later on today for EuroNASCAR 2, but most of those finals races will take place on Sunday, and all of those finals races will be double championship points. But this one that's coming up is the last race of the season that is standard championship points. We're here at Ricardo Tormo. We're about 20 kilometres outside of Valencia, this circuit that's largely associated with two-wheeled motorsport. The likes of MotoGP and World Superbikes have been here in the past, but it has played host to things like GP2 and DTM and World Touring cars. It's 4 kilometres long. That is just under 2.5 miles, and there are 14 key turns to this circuit. Main overtaking points on the brakes into turn 2, which is Dewan. You can get up the inside at turn number 11, but you've really got to key it up through 8, 9 and 10 to get there to be able to do it. We did see the race lead change at turn 11 yesterday. And turn 14 is another overtaking opportunity. Big long straight as well here. 650 metres long is the straight at this fairly new circuit, built just a couple of decades ago now, 1999, the government of Valencia, and it's named in honour of the 2-time 50cc motorcycle world champion, who was a native of Valencia, Ricardo Tormo, who very sadly passed away, succumbed to leukemia the year before the circuit opened. So the cars are nudging their way out of the garages. We had a race yesterday, round 7 of the championship for the NASCAR Pro Division, the EuroNASCAR Pro Division. And that race was secured victory by Lasse Sorensen, the big Dane. But that doesn't really tell the story. The race was being led, and very comfortably so, by Stinis Longines at the wheel of the number 11 PK Car Sport car. He picked up the lead of the race because there was contact in the first corner between Gianmarco Ercoli and Alan Day, who were the two drivers on the front of the grid. And as a result of that, Ercoli went through the gravel and had to work his way back up through the order. Alan Day, who was the championship leader and a double former champion, had to have a drive-through penalty and then work his way back through the order. And as a result of Stinis Longines then retiring with a broken clutch on the car, whilst leading and comfortably leading, it was up to Loris Hazemans and Lasse Sorensen to fight it out for the lead of the race. But even that still doesn't tell the story, because Lasse Sorensen managed to go side by side through turn number 14 with Loris Hazemans. That's the final corner. They went side by side through turn number 1, turn number 2, turn number 3, turn number 4, and finally at turn number 5 and up towards turn number 6 was where Lasse Sorensen finally got the job done. So from turn 14 to turn 6, side by side, And finally, Lasse Sorensen came through to claim what is his second career win in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series top flight, the EuroNASCAR Pro Division. And that also means that he moves that little bit closer to Alan Day in terms of the championship points. I think we might be able to show you the way that the points stack up after yesterday. So Alan Day is still the championship leader. He is on 245 points, but the gap that was 14 points before yesterday's race has now dwindled down to just 5 points. Lasse Sorensen closing in on it. He's also the leading junior driver that we have in the category. And junior drivers are those that are aged under 25. In this category. Loris Hazemans is jointly third in the championship with Gianmarco Ercoli, both of them 21 points off the lead, so they're on 224 points. Mark Goossens is there in 5th place, and Stinis Longines, as a result of his retirement, is there in 6th place, but you can see how close it is. 36 points separating the top 6 drivers. Well, the race win in this race is 40 points, so there's still all to play for, and that's before we even get to the double points races tomorrow as well. So Alan Day leading overall, Lasse Sorensen leading the junior category, and the challenger category, which is for amateur drivers that compete in EuroNASCAR Pro, is being led by the driver in 9th position at the moment, the Swiss driver Mauro Trione. So they are our relative category leaders, but as we say, still plenty of racing to come from EuroNASCAR Pro with this race that's coming up and 2 further races that will take place over the course of Sunday. So an excellent weekend of racing, a super week, super speed week as it's badged, because of the changes that we've had to do to the calendar for 2020 in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. Then this was originally scheduled to have taken place in April this week, this race, but it is now the finals and a double header at that. So great to be back at Circuit Ricardo Tormo. So the cars will be heading out, ready to line up on the grid. As and when they get to the grid, hopefully Andre Weigold will be down there, might be able to catch up with 1 or 2 of the drivers, because we will certainly be expecting this to be a hard-fought race. As for previous winners in EuroNASCAR Pro that are on the grid, well, of course, Lasse Sorensen won yesterday's race, so he joins that list now of winners at this circuit. Other drivers on the grid that have won in EuroNASCAR Pro previously at the track: Ander Villarino, the 3 times former champion. Ander Villarino, he was the champion in 2012, 13 and 2015. He is making a one-off appearance, the only time we've seen him this year, Villarino. He is a former winner here. And Alan Day, who is the 2 times former champion, Alan having secured the championship back in 2017, 2018, he is on the grid. Now, that is all of the drivers that have won in EuroNASCAR Pro previously, but we have got some drivers that have won us this circuit whilst they're in EuroNASCAR 2, i.e. before they stepped up to the top flight. And those include the likes of Tomo Ferrando, the likes of Stinis Longines, Gianmarco Ercoli and Giorgio Maggi have all won at this track, but not at the top level. They've won at the level below at EuroNASCAR 2. So the car's making their way out onto track. The winds that we had yesterday in Valencia has died down today. The sun is shining. Still this time of year, though, a cold ambient temperature, so there'll be work to do just to ensure that they build up some core temperature in their controlled general tyres that all of the cars will be running as they trickle their way out of the pit lane and get ready to line up on the grid. There's the number 54 car, that's Gianmarco Ercoli, driver who is lying 3rd in the championship standings. He is 2nd in the junior trophy coming into this. So he's on 224 points jointly with Loris Hazemans, I ought to say, 3rd in the championship. He'll be hoping for a less troubled run, because he started off the front of the grid yesterday, did Gianmarco Ercoli, but with contact between himself and the pole sitter Alan Day, had to take a trip through the gravel and scrambled his way back out, and then had to work his way back through the order. So it was a good recovery drive to finish in 5th position, I've got to say, for Ercoli. There's 31, that's another one of the Cal Racing cars. That is the driver who leads the Challenger Trophy standings at the moment, Mauro Trione. Shares the car with his son, Giovanni, who races it in EuroNASCAR 2. And that's the car that was leading yesterday before it had the clutch fail on it. Stinis Longines, he will certainly at the wheel of the number 11 PK Carport Chevy be wanting to try and right the wrong of yesterday. Didn't do anything wrong. He posted on social media with clutch failure, obviously himself and the whole team were devastated with that. He lost a little bit of ground in the championship. There's no drop scores this year. You have to count every single round. So on the outside of the front row of the grid, he'll be hoping what he might be able to do will be take the lead on the charge at Port Asper, the first corner. That's number 1, Tomo Ferrando. Nice to see that Tomo is back with us. He's going off the back of the grid. He did not appear in yesterday's race, not entirely sure why. Didn't get to the bottom of why we didn't see the number 1 Alex Caffey Motorsport Race Art Technology car out in the hand of the 23-year-old Frenchman. So he has won races here before. He's had a couple of pole positions, a fastest lap and 2 wins whilst he was racing in EuroNASCAR 2. And there is number 48. That is a man who, if we had spectators here, everybody would be cheering on. We are closing spectators this weekend. Number 48 is Ander Villarino, returning to the championship for the first time this year. A 3-time former champion, and the driver of that number 48 car has got 22 career wins in EuroNASCAR. So there is Alan Day on the grid, and he is looking very cool, calm and collected, hoping that he can bring the number 24 through to a victory and head towards victory lane in that one. So the number 24 starts on the front row of the grid, which is Alan Day, and alongside him will be the number 11 PK Car Sport Chevy. So it's an all PK Car Sport Chevy front row of the grid, because Dinis Longines, his teammate, will be lining up alongside Alan Day. Row number 2 of the grid, it's the car with the green and blue flashes to the front. It's 66, yesterday's race winner Lasse Sorensen, alongside number 50, which is the car of Loris Hazemans. Lasse Sorensen, yesterday's winner, second in the championship. Loris Hazemans is 4th in the championship standings and was the runner-up in yesterday's race. And then onto the 3rd row of the grid, that is where we see the number 54 car, which will be that of Gianmarco Ercoli, and 12, which is Francesco Cini. So the 4th row of the grid will be 98, Mark Goosens, and number 22, Nicola Rocca. But I think we could leave that there for the moment and head down onto the grid. I think Andre Weigold has managed to catch up with somebody.
We're here with Loris Hazemans, the reigning NASCAR Euro Series champion. You're on the 2nd row of the grid, and the mission is to defend the title. How's your strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what is the strategy? It's racing. So, like you saw yesterday, everything changes in a split second. Just being as attentive as possible and trying to seize opportunity when it's there.
Do you think you have a chance to win the race today? You have 2 PK Car Sport cars right in front of you.
I mean, definitely yesterday we were a little bit on the lucky side. Sadly, the 2 cars in front of us had some problems of their own. So, but we worked on the setup. Yesterday was a tough day. Race-wise, we weren't really on the pace yet. But hopefully the setup changes we made today means we can hopefully fight for the win.
All right, thank you. Hail success. And back to Mark.
Thanks a lot, Andre. Yep, so that was Loris Hazemans, who say was lining up on the 2nd row of the grid. We've got to row number 4 of the grid, where it was number 98, Mark Goosens, and 22, Nicola Rocca. Andre might try and catch up with some other drivers as well, so we might not necessarily get through all of the grid in this stint. Row 5 of the grid is number 48, Ander Villarino, alongside 7, which is Olivier Hart, making his debut in the series this weekend, Olivier Hart, and was really impressive with his pace yesterday. Row 6 of the grid is number 33, double former champion Luca Lasser, alongside the German driver, number 99, Justin Kutz, a revised livery for the 99 this weekend. And row 7 of the grid is 2 drivers at the sharp end of the Challenger Trophy standings. Number 8, Dario Carzo, alongside the Challenger Trophy leader, which is number 31, Mauro Trione. The 8th row of the grid is 18, Giorgio Maggi, and 89, Davide Dallara. Row 9 of the grid is number 6, which is Patrick Lamery, and number 10, which is Alberto Panipianco, another driver who makes his debut in the series this weekend. And row 10 is 46, Yevgen Sokolovsky, alongside number 1, which is Toma Ferrando. There was one extra car we were hoping would be out, which was number 70, Mirko Schultis, but he is not shown on the grid, and I think has opted not to take part in this race. He is, I think now for the weekend, going to concentrate on EuroNASCAR 2 rather than do driving duties in both. 8 races over the course of a weekend is tough for anybody. Mirko is a driver who is now, 55 years of age. He's not quite the oldest driver on the field, but that's going to be hard work with these cars around here. So I think Mirko perhaps deciding that maybe a little bit of respite rather than doing all of the races over the weekend is probably the sensible thing to do. So the cars are fully lined up on the grid. We should be very shortly starting to hear the national anthems, the national anthems of the United States of America, followed by the Spanish national anthem. You can see the flags in the background are not flapping quite as much as they were yesterday, which is that indication I was giving earlier on that whilst there's a breeze here, it's not as bad as it was yesterday. So we will stay quiet and respect the national anthems.
Can I give you the microphone? Because
So there we go, the United States national anthem and that of the Spanish national anthem on the build-up to round 8 of the 2020 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series of Valencia Super Speed Week is now on to day number 2, and this is the last race of the season that is for single championship points, i.e. 40 for the win, standard points, 40 for the win, 35 for second, 34 for third, and so on. It diminishes by a point thereafter. Also 4 points for the driver that comes and gains the most places from starting position on the grid to finishing position at the end of the 18-lap race that will be coming up. When we get to qualifying later on today, that will be qualifying for the finals rounds, and those finals rounds, of which there are 2 races for EuroNASCAR 2 and 2 races for EuroNASCAR Pro. Over the course of this afternoon stroke tomorrow, they will be for double championship points, 80 points for the win, 70 for second, 68 for third, and so on and so on. And also it's double points also in those races for the driver that gains the most places, starting position to finishing position. It's not 4, it will become 8 points. So we've got champions to crown over what is a busy weekend. An exciting calendar also for 2021 as well, which was announced a few days ago. So we are very much looking forward to finishing off this weekend and an exciting 2021 championship season, to say, which is going to see us taking all of the usual haunts, but it's also going to hopefully see us back at Grobnik as well, which is the fantastic Croatian circuit that we were at just a few weeks ago. So the cars ready, the words will be issued and mentioned, those infamous words by our Grand Marshal, for the drivers to start their engines, and we are not far away from hearing the roar of those 5.7 litre V8 400 brake horsepower engines spring into life. Remember, this is pure racing as well. There's no traction control, there's no ABS, there's no tricks with the differential that you can do. It's all the only traction control you've got is how slowly you plant your right foot on the accelerator, and ABS is how gently you hit the brakes with your left foot or your right foot, depending on whether you're left or right foot braking. So there we go, words are uttered, and the silence around Circuit Ricardo Tormo all of a sudden is gone, and the roar of V8 engines heads around the track. We will see 2 formation laps, we gather, for this one, largely for safety reasons, because it is cold ambient temperatures here, cold track temperatures as well. Yes, there's sun, but it's still a little bit chilly. Then the decision has been taken by the officials to give the drivers 2 formation laps, so an extra opportunity to warm those tyres and get some temperature into the controlled Dunlop slick tyres that they are all running. Are we going to see Alan Day claim a win and stretch his championship advantage? He starts on the front row of the grid. Might we see Stinus Longji do what he did yesterday and start to romp away in the lead, or could the drivers on the second row of the grid, Lassie Sorensen, yesterday's race winner, and Loris Haseman, yesterday's runner-up, might they be able to sneak through and claim a win? It's all very tight in terms of the championship. Remember, there are 40 points up for grabs in this race to the race winner. The top 6 drivers are only separated by 36 points in the championship, so it's all very close, to say the least, as they head off on their formation lap. And we'll get a look as to exactly what the track conditions look like. So perfect conditions, really. A little bit cold, as we say, but not as much breeze as yesterday as the cars head up towards turn number 1. Fast corner turn number 1, Aspar. It's taken in 3rd gear, so you need to brake because you've headed down the 650 metre straight. Brake. Let the car run as wide as you dare, but not beyond the red and white curbing. You've got to keep at least 1 tyre on there all the time. If all of the tyres are on the green concrete, then you're in trouble with the clerk of the course if you keep doing it. Then you shift down to 2nd gear and take this corner here, Dewan. This is a good overtaking opportunity, but you need to be close to the car ahead and try and sneak your way up the inside. We have seen cars go around the outside at Dewan, which then means you go around the outside at the unnamed turn number 3, which is what Francisco Cini's just heading around now. But then that gives you the inside for 4, which is Nico Triol. So we have seen some moves queued up around the outside at 2, outside at 3 to get the inside for 4. So you can do it that way. It's a long way round, but it does work as long as the driver that you are on the outside of is fairly kind to you. Then as soon as you come out of Nico Triol turn number 4, which is 2nd gear, you're still in 2nd gear for turn number 5, and then start to head uphill, which is where they're heading now, up towards the 2nd gear left-hander, which is turn number 6, which is Aniel Nieto. So that is uphill in towards the left-hander, which is where the reliveried number 99 of Justin Coutts is just heading now. And then from there, round the kink at Curva de la Afición, and then up towards the braking area for Bernard Martinez, which is where the circuit then starts to drop away again. So it's sort of an adverse camber on the exit, easy to run wide. After you come out of Bernard Martinez, then it's a short straight that brings you towards the unnamed third gear. Left-hander at turn 9. Martinez is taken in second, by the way. At third, you'll be at turn 9, which is where they're just flicking now. And then from there, it's 2 right-handers. You turn right at turn number 10, and then right again at the tighter turn number 11. All of those are taken in second gear before you then shift up into third. There's local hero, the Spanish driver, Ander Villarino, returning to the championship. And so the cars you can see in the background now are just heading round through turn number 9, whereas this car here, Stinis Longchin, is heading out of turn number 11 and up straight towards turn number 12, which is the third gear kink at Champieros, which is very fast corner. You need to be careful you don't take that sausage curve on the inside though, because that really unsettles the car. And then from there, it's round the sweeping, long sweeping third gear flat out left-hander, which is turn number 13, unnamed, and into the braking area, downhill again in towards turn number 14, which is Adrian Campos. So that gives you an idea as to the gears that they are in. Adrian Campos is taken in second gear, and then from there, the only time they really use fourth on this track is down this big long 650 metre straight. So everywhere else, all of the corners are largely second and third gear for all of them. So lots of weaving being done, trying to keep the temperature and build ever more temperature into the tyres. Alan Day, remember, starting from pole position, he has got 22 career wins. The all-time career winners list sees Alan Day on 22 and Ander Villarino on 22. So both of them have had 22 career wins, and Alan Day has always been slightly focused. He wants to win championships, of course, but he also has been very focused the last year or so in catching Ander Villarino in the all-time winners list, and now he's only 1 win away from overtaking him. Unless Villarino can do something, but he finds himself starting 9th on the grid, whereas Alan Day starts on the front row on pole. So, second formation lap underway. The cars, when they head out of turn number 11, that's where the race control will instruct the drivers to get themselves into 2x2 order. And then they need to get that completed by the time they almost head out of turn 12 and up towards turn 13. So they don't have long, really, to sort themselves out into 2x2 order. And then they have to remain in those 2 lines of cars all the way until they get over the start-finish line. As soon as the green flag falls, you can't break your line still. You have to stay in the line, whether you're on the right-hand side of the grid or the left-hand side of the grid. So number 89, bit of tyre weaving being done by Davide Delara to try and keep the temperature in them. There is Alan Day, driver who we've already seen claim wins so far this year. Win came in Zolder at race number 2. Win came at Grobnik in Croatia at race number 2 as well. So he leads the championship standings by a very narrow 5 points. That's all from Lassie Sorensen as a result of yesterday. So the rest of the field just trundling their way round. That's Yevgen Sokolovsky, who drives for Marco Steep Motorsport. The 42-year-old Ukrainian former bike racer is Yevgen Sokolovsky, and has raced some late models at Benray. So right now the call's been given. They'll get themselves into 2x2 order as they head down the straight and up towards turn number 12, Champieros, which is where they're going now. So we should see the lead car peel its way into the pit lane, and then we will be ready to go with this first of 2 races that we'll see today. We've got this race, we've got a qualifying session, and then we have the first of the finals races, the double points races for EuroNASCAR 2 later on today. So that's the format for today. 2 races and qualifying sessions for both sets of cars as well. So it's half an hour qualifying for one set and then half an hour qualifying for the second set. That's coming up later on this morning. So buckle up, everybody, for the first time today. We're about to go green here at Circuit Ricardo Tormo. EuroNASCAR Pro are on track. The lead car peels its way into the pit lane. It is Alan Day and Stinis Longchin that are going to lead the charge up towards Aspar, the first corner. The green flag is about to be dropped any second. Now we get the race underway. There goes the green flag. Alan Day and Stinis Longchin absolutely side by side, heading up towards the braking area for Aspar, which is where it all went wrong in the race yesterday. for EuroNASCAR Pro. Side by side they go. Stinus Longines just gets his nose ahead of Alan Day, who's now coming under pressure from Loris Hazeman, who's gone around the outside at turn 1, and he's up to second position. Can he hang on to it? No, Alan Day breaks as late as he dare and is now side by side with Loris Hazeman, yesterday's runner-up in the race. They flick their way. Oh, there's contact further back, and it looks as though that's car that gets spun around is Mauro Trione that get tagged into a spin, the best part of, 720 degrees he spun there. It might feel a little dizzy after that one, but he's got the car fairly undamaged by the look of things and should be able to continue in the race, albeit he's now at the very, very back, I'm afraid to say. So, battle's continuing down through the order. That's the rather busy number 7 of Olivier Hart, who is under pressure from Luca Lasserre, sprinting away in the lead of the race, like he did yesterday, is Stinus Longines. Alan Day is second. Loris Hazeman, the number 50 Hendricks Ford, is there in third place, and fourth is Gianmarco Ercoli, who's just dived up the inside there on the 66 of Lassie Sorensen. So that was heading in towards the braking area for Bernard Martinet that he was able to do that. So place gain for Ercoli, place lost for yesterday's race winner and the driver who is lying second overall in the championship standings. Sokolowski has made a little bit of progress off the tail end of the field. 46 gained a couple of places by the look of things, but back towards the sharp end of what's going on. All of the cars still very much close together in the early stages of this one. Dropping towards the tail end of the field. That's Simon Polac that's dropped down through, Patrick Lamery, I should say, that's down towards the tail end of the field. Simon Polac drives that car in EuroNASCAR 2, but it's a team patron, Patrick Lamery, that's driving it in EuroNASCAR Pro. Over the start-finish line, lap number 1 completed. Stinus Longines leads the way at this stage and is looking to try, as he did yesterday, and make good his escape. Running a little bit wide there by the look of things. That was the number 7 car of Olivier Hart, who is looking to try and squeeze his way past Mark Goossens. Mark Goossens is under pressure though, as he tries to try and work his way past the number 12 Solaris Motorsport Chevy of Francisco Cini. Some good fights going on further down through the order. That will be something like 7th, 8th and 9th places, I think that will be for. Good little fight it is. Olivier Hart, Luca Lasserre, and the Villarino's in there as well, and I think Justin Coots is just off the back of it, just out of shot. So, great little squabble that's going on. That's what, 7th through to certainly 12th position for sure, because Justin Coots is off the back of the shot, and there's 2 more off the back of that. So, that's 7th through to 14th places by the look of things. So, a great big train of cars queuing up behind the number 12 Solaris Motorsport car in the hands of the 40-year-old Francesco Cini. The problem is that if he makes a mistake, if he goes offline and leaves the door open, then it's not just going to be Mark Goossens that will go through. It'll be half of the train of cars that sit behind will be looking to try and squeeze their way through. The number 48, Ander Villarino, 3-time the champion, looking to try and put the 2-time former champion Luca Lasserre under pressure. And they looking to try and close in on his teammate here. Well, the gap for second was hovering around a second last time through. It was 0.976 of a second. To the naked eye, I think it might have come down just a shade more as they come over the start-finish line. Have a quick look as they go through. It has. It's come down an absolute shade. It's 0.966 now. So it's come down about 1/100th of a second. Loris Hazeman's is a similar gap back there in third position. 0.7 off him is Gianmarco Ercoli. So it's still tight towards the front. And we've still got this queue of cars further back. Side by side, that is Giorgio Maggi running side by side with Alberto Panebianco. Looks as though those two will continue their battle. We've also here got Ander Villarino still continuing his battle with the 33, the Mission Motors car that lies ahead in the hands of the Frenchman Luca Lasserre. Now all of a sudden on this lap, it looks as though Francisco Cini has managed to gap a little bit more in the background, the 98 of Mark Goossens. So the Cal Racing Ford, not quite as close to the number 12 Solaris Motorsport Chevy as it had been. Alberto Panebianco still to win the pressure from Giorgio Maggi. Now here's Mark Goossens, the number 98 Cal Racing Ford. Yeah, Francesco Cini is not really holding him up anymore. He's got an extra couple of car lengths gap, I would say, between himself and that largely orange and black and white number 98. And for Mark Goossens, he'll be concentrating on what's going on behind him, because Olivier Hart is giving him a thing or two to think about. And there's another battle thereafter, the 33 of Luca Lasserre. A double former champion is Luca, 2009 and 2010 he played the championship. He's not 3 times champion. And the Villarino riding on his bumpers still. So this is lap number 3 that is about to be concluded. Stinus Longines still plugging away in the lead of the race. The squabbles further down through the pack continuing. Now, has Alan Day closed up a bit more on this lap? Wait, yes, he has. He has now brought the gap down to 0.594 of a second, so it's come down, well, again, just a hundredth of a second that time through, but the gap is going the right way as far as the championship leader is concerned. Sitting in second, he's got his teammate ahead of them, so they'll certainly be conscious that if they are going to have a squabble, they don't certainly need to be banging into each other. Looks as though Mark Goossens is still coming under pressure from Olivier Hart. Been really impressed with Olivier, 21-year-old Dutchman Olivier Hart. We've seen him on the podium in his respective category at the Bathurst 12 Hour in the past. He's done a bit of GT4 racing in Europe and some TCR racing in the Benelux TCR series. He's done lots of historic racing as well. His father David raced at Le Mans and at Spa, but the historics have been big, powerful sports cars really for him, like GT40s and Cobras and even Group C cars. He has been mightily impressive this weekend, not scoring championship points, but he is giving Mark Goossens a thing or two to think about. Now, for the lead of the race, the gap is certainly closing up now. So Stinus Longines was 0.2 of a second slower through the first sector than Alan Day on this lap. He was about 1/10 of a second quicker through the second sector. They match each other for pace through the third sector, so depending on what they do through the fourth sector, I think the gap might have come down by about another 10th, so it will then be below half a second between the pair of them. Both of these cars Chevys, both of them being run by PK Carsport, the team that Anthony Kumpen heads up. And now Alan Day gets a good run this time, coming out of Adrian Campos, and he's going to close on Stinus Longines as they come over the start-finish line. There's traffic just up the road as well that needs dealing with. That is Mauro Trione's car that had that 720-degree spin. He is circulating still towards the rear of the field, Mauro Trione, which is a big shame for him because he leads the Challenger Trophy standings and he's going to lose out a little bit in terms of point scoring. So together for the lead of the race, the gap is just 0.1 of a second. Stinus Longines coming under pressure from Alan Day, who isn't going to sneak through at turn number 3. Takes a wide sweep into turn number 4, Alan Day, to see if he can do anything in the run up towards 5, and maybe the overtaking opportunity might be up at Aniel Nieto, which is turn number 6, the uphill second gear left-hander that they're coming up to now. But no, Alan Day for the moment just sitting behind. The speeds build though now as they come out of the corner. Alan Day gets a little bit sideways up towards the kink at Curve de la Fichon, and then up towards another overtaking opportunity if you're close enough, which Alan Day isn't, which is turn number 8, Bernard Martinez. So nothing doing there. Two of them, I think, working together maybe at this stage just to make sure they don't slow each other up and bring number 50 Hendricks Ford of Loris Hasemans into the mix. So through turn number 11. Again, the speeds now start to build as they go up towards turn 12, which is Championeros. Alan Day, 22 times a race winner in the NASCAR Pro Division. Stinus Longines, twice a race winner in the NASCAR Pro Division. One win coming last year at Zolder, his home NASCAR Grand Prix. The other win coming this year at Zolder. And as I say, he was largely robbed of a race win yesterday with the clutch failure on the car. Was comfortably leading. There's Yevgen Sokolovsky. He's had a spin. Should be able to get that car pointing in the right direction, so just localised yellows. And for the lead of the race, Stinus Longines is going to have to deal with the traffic as well before too much longer. Now, Alan Day is as close as he's been, not quite as close as the previous lap over the start-finish line, because the gap came up to just over 0.2 of a second, but he was absolutely on the bumper. And now, in third place, the number 50 Hendricks Ford of Loris Hasemans is beginning to close in. So Stinus Longines, I don't think, has the quicker car at the moment of the two PK Carsport drivers, but is doing enough to make sure that he grabs the apexes, gets cleanly off the corners, which means that Alan Day isn't given an opportunity to get by. As a result, he gets slowed up, and now, all of a sudden, just edging up onto them, inch by inch, centimetre by centimetre, is the number 50 Hendricks Ford, in the hands, remember, of the reigning EuroNASCAR Pro champion, Loris Hasemans, who we spoke to on the grid before the race got underway. So up towards the number 8. Mauro Trione will want to get out of harm's way. Alan Day running a little bit wide, just raising the dust on the exit of Bernard Martinez, which is turn number 8. Now, Stinus Longines cannot afford to get compromised by Mauro Trione. Into the pit lane, I'm afraid to say, and that is Davide De Lara that's out at the wheel of the Not Only Motorsport number 89. That's him done, the Italian driver. Sensible driving by Mauro Trione, the traffic as well, just to blend out of the throttle coming out of turn number 11 and let the lead pack go through. Huge amount of experience as Mauro Trione, racing for a very, very good number of years in a whole raft of things like Italian GT and the Italian Touring Car Championship many years ago. Raced in the Alfa SZ Championship that we had as well. So there's Alan Day just running that little bit wide, coming out of turn number 8. I said it was easy to run wide because it is downhill. You sort of approach it over the crest and it comes off camber on the exit of the corner, and maybe just a little bit too much mid-corner speed there for Alan Day, which was what allowed him to run that little bit wide. We're fast approaching the halfway point as well. 18-lap race. They're on lap number 7. So another couple of laps and we'll be at the half distance point of this race. The leading 3 separated by little more than a second at this stage. So it's Stinus Longines from Alan Day. Loris Hazemans is 3rd. Gianmarco Ercoli is 4th, but he's the leading junior driver. So that's for the drivers aged under 25. So in 4th place, Gianmarco Ercoli leads the junior category. Nicola Rocker and Lassie Sorensen complete the top 6 at this stage. The leading challenger driver we've got, which is for amateurs that compete at this level, is down in 13th position. It's the number 8 car of Dario Carzo, the Feed Vic Racing Chevrolet Camaro. Alan Day again, just that little bit wide coming out of that corner. You need to keep at least a wheel on the red and white painted curbs. If you have all 4 on the green painted section, then you can get away with it so many times. But as we saw in yesterday's EuroNASCAR Pro race, black and white flags come out, which means the drivers get issued warnings which they need to heed. Otherwise, the penalties become more draconian. It's not just a slap on the back of the wrist. You'll be pinged with either a post-race time penalty or possibly even a drive-through. That's what the race control decided what the sentence would be as such for the crime. Now Alan Day this time gets a really good run coming out of Adrian Campos onto the 650 metres straight. He's jigging out from behind Stinus Longines. Is he looking for the inside line? No, he's going to go back behind as they head up towards Asper for what is the 8th time this time through. Stinus Longines a little bit slower mid-corner though, and as that opened the door for Alan Day up towards 2 and turn number 2, he's got the inside line. They will go side by side through 2. Stinus Longines will brave it out through 3, because if he can, it then gives him the inside line for turn number 4. And I think Stinus Longines, by the skin of his teeth, is going to hang on to the lead of the race here. Alan Day might try and take a later apex through 4 to try and get back on the exit, but no. Stinus Longines has got it covered off, just about managed to hang on to it there, and that's because he just ran a little bit wide mid-corner at turn number 1. And that allowed Alan Day then to sneak up the inside before Stinus Longines could close the door. So that was a glimmer of hope there for Alan Day, and that's all he needs if he wants to try and squeeze his way through into the lead. Remember, these 2 drivers, 1st and 2nd, are teammates as well, both being run for PK Carsport. The leading Ford, which is in 3rd place, which is Loris Hazemans, is Hendricks Motorsport, and it's a Cal Racing car that's there in 4th position, which is Gianmarco Ercoli. So 3 teams represented in the first 4 cars in the field. At the moment, it's still that TK Carsport 1-2, as it has been all race so far. Through Champilleros, and then over the crest at turn number 13 before the vehicle starts to drop away again towards Adrian Campos. They'll be heading on to the half-distance lap this time through as well, and there is still nothing to choose between the leading pair. There was just a 10th of a second as they came over the start-finish line last time through. The gap is going to be just a 10th of a second again this time through. Alan Day closing in the slipstream, but I don't think he's quite as close this lap as he was on the previous lap, so he's not going to try anything at Asper. Let's just wait and see as to whether Stinus Longines runs wide again through the fast 3rd gear right-hander. No, a little bit tidier this time from Stinus Longines, and he's going to be able to cover off anything that Alan Day can throw at him, while still poised and ready to pounce is Loris Hazemans in 3rd place, should these 2 trip over each other. So, flashing the brake lights from Alan Day, flicking their way in towards turn number 4, which is Nico Triol, and from there it's towards turn number 5, and then they'll start to head back up the hill again up towards Aniel Nieto. But for the moment, Stinus Longines, other than that one small mistake at turn number 1, seems to have everything under control. He'll be hugely keen to try and grab the victory. Say he finished off at the circuit yesterday. He only completed 9 laps before the clutch went and was very much comfortably leading. He got, about a second and a half lead, I think, at the point that the car failed him yesterday. So he was classified 18th in the end in the race, which meant that he would have only picked up, something like 19 championship points, plus however many more he would gain with non-championship scorers ahead of him. I think that would ultimately have brought him up 3 positions. So he'd have picked the points for 15th place, 22 points, which is not what he was after. It was a big haul of 40 that he wanted, and that's what he's going to try and do today. So again, in towards the conclusion of another lap. This is now half distance, so 9 laps completed, 9 to go. Alan Day again a little bit quicker just coming out of Adrian Campos. The gap between the pair of them was 0.64 as they came over the start-finish line on the previous lap. It's 0.18 this time through. 0.1, so the gap has remained reasonably static. And what has surprised me is that now Loris Hazelmans is not really living with their pace. The pair of them are pushing each other hard, but Loris Hazelmans is not gaining ground. If anything, he's losing ground now. He's dropped a second and a half away from this lead pair. So maybe he's just conserving his tyres and wondering if these two are pushing a bit too hard and they might just run out of tyres towards the end. Or maybe he's just settled into the fact that third would be, well, not ideal, but still good enough. What that pair up there are still battling away. And as Loris Hazelmans mentioned, you know, they still had a few bits to work on the car, which they've worked on overnight to try and overall improve the balance of it, the performance of it. So, towards Pink at 9 again, but on towards turn number 10. Linus Longines still holding off Alan Day for the lead of the race. Loris Hazelmans, spectator with the best seat in the house, sitting there in third position, watch it all unfold ahead of him. Mark Oakley is fourth. He still leads the junior category as well, so Oakley in fourth place. Not really seen much of him in the shot. He's about 5 seconds down the road from the leading pair, but he is still the leading junior driver. The leading challenger driver is still Dario Carlo down in 13th place as well. So those are our respective category leaders, or trophy leaders at this stage. Over the start finish line now. That is 10 laps completed, on to lap number 11 for Linus Longines, who has had the ever-present danger of Alan Day behind him. As we say, on the basis that they are teammates, they're not going to try anything too silly. Alan Day might have the inside line again here, yeah. He's going to break that little bit later up towards Doohan. We saw this a few laps ago. Linus Longines will brave it out, runs a little bit wide, heading out of turn 2 up towards turn number 3. Runs a little bit wider through 3 than ideally I think he would want. Retakes the lead at 4, but can Alan Day get the undercut this time, heading up towards turn number 5? I think he has. Yeah, he's got the undercut this time. They go side by side through 5. Linus Longines runs wide, and Alan Day takes the lead. If they'd have gone side by side through 5, Linus Longines would have had the inside line for 6, but I think he just got into the marbles a little bit, where the rubber has not been laid down, and that just affected the amount of grip he'd got when he was trying to turn his way in towards the right-hander. So Alan Day now picks up the lead of the race, having tried for so long to put his teammate under pressure. It wasn't really a mistake from Linus Longines, it was just that he found himself on a piece of tarmac that didn't quite have the level of grip that ideally he would have wanted, and might have been a couple of corners after the initial move was started up at turn number 2. It was turn number 5 where Alan Day eventually got his nose through and ahead. So that has now brought Loris Hazelmans back into it again there, that overtaking move. Hazelmans, remember, was a second adrift of the pair ahead of him. And all of a sudden he's going to be, what, maybe 0.7, 0.8 behind Linus Longines when they head over the start-finish line. So through they'll go, on to lap number 12 very shortly. So 11 laps now chalked into the book. On to lap number 12, they thread their way. Alan Day in the lead, Linus Longines in second position, and Loris Hazelmans is now within a second of them, sitting there in third place. He's just 0.4 of a second away from Linus Longines and 0.9 of a second off the leader. The rest of the cars all filing their way through over the start-finish line. There goes Olivier Hart, who's had a busy old race. Olivier still there in 9th place, but he's got the most successful driver in EuroNASCAR right behind him, which is Ander Villarino, and Luca Lasser is coming under pressure from Tomo Ferrando. So that's a former EuroNASCAR Pro champion under pressure from a former EuroNASCAR 2 champion, Tomo Ferrando, who has had a difficult weekend so far at the wheel of that number 1 cars. They didn't start yesterday's race, has had to come off the back of the grid for this one, and has worked his way up towards 12th position now. So it's 12th place for Tomo Ferrando, 11th place for Luca Lasser, the number 33 Mitsubishi Motors car that lies ahead. Ferrando gain another place. If he does, then he could then close into the next pair up the road, which is Ander Villarino fighting away with this guy here, Olivier Hart. So they are pretty much together still. Olivier Hart, who is just 21 years of age, has got the 41-year-old Spaniard right behind him. for Luca Leclerc. He's been a long time racer in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series number 33 car. He's still having to push hard at the wheel of that EuroNASCAR FJ machine, the 41-year-old Frenchman, to try and hang on to the position. And no matter where you look, there's largely battles going on. Somebody has got somebody else to fight with. Back over the start-finish line come the top three. Looking fairly equidistantly spread, I would say, this time. So, yeah, absolutely, the times confirm that as well. 0.7 of a second in the lead is Alan Day. And Stinis Longjean is 0.7 of a second ahead of Laurits Hazeman. So, gap first and second is almost identical to the gap second to third. And all three of them are still within, therefore, 1.5 seconds of each other. So, any slip-up at all is going to cost you dear, I would have thought. And up to fourth now is Nicola Rocca on that lap. So the number 22 car in the hands of the Italian up to fourth. Gianmarco Workley still leads the junior category, but has now slipped down into fifth place, I'm afraid to say. And the battle for that junior category is hotting up as well, because the 54 of Gianmarco Workley is under pressure from the 66 of Lasse Sorensen for the lead of the junior trophy. So leading three through Curva de la Fission and in towards Bernard Martinez, which is turn number 8. There is, now that is the battle for the lead of the junior trophy. So Gianmarco Workley, the number 54 car, leading it as the first of the drivers that is aged under 25 in the race. But right behind him is yesterday's race winner, the number 66 of Lasse Sorensen. So they're fighting for 5th and 6th overall. Track limits warning being given out for Workley though as well, so needs to be careful here, just Gianmarco Workley. He's got Lasse Sorensen behind him, but maybe he's just pushing a little bit too hard there. We saw that black and white warning flag and the 54 board being held out, so Workley needs to stay within the confines of the circuit. And as I've said a few times, what that means in reality is that he's got to have at least one wheel on the red and white painted curbs when he's going round through the corners. If you have all 4 wheels beyond that curb line and onto what is the green painted part of the circuit, then that is beyond the circuit limits. You can get away with it so much, but once that black and white warning flag comes out, you really need to sort of just curtail your enthusiasm a little bit and stay within the track limits. At the moment, Workley is not under huge amounts of pressure from Sorensen, because Lasse Sorensen is just that little bit too far away, the big Dane. They claimed the EuroNASCAR 2 championship last year, Lasse Sorensen. Stepped up full-time to EuroNASCAR Pro. We did see him take in a couple of pro races last year, but he ultimately then stepped back to EuroNASCAR 2 to concentrate on trying to claim the title, and did so in fine form, really, Lasse Sorensen, considering he'd missed the first 2 races of the year, which were here at Circuit Ricardo Tormo. He only appeared in the championship at round 3 and claimed the title in his rookie year as well. A really strong year for rookies last year. So many quick rookies in EuroNASCAR 2 last year. And then stepped up to EuroNASCAR Pro. Is already 2-time race winner in EuroNASCAR Pro as well. So it's certainly going to be one to watch for the future. Now, this is looking tasty as well. Good little battle going on. Olivier Hart under pressure from Ander Villarino, but now Luca Leclerc has managed to catch up, and Luca Leclerc has brought with him Tomo Ferrando. So this is going to be a fight for 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th places at this stage. Ander Villarino is desperate to try and work his way through past the 21-year-old Dutchman that lies at the front of this little quartet. Through Championeros, which is third number 12, the little quartet go. It's Olivier Hart from Ander Villarino. Now, is Villarino going to try anything here at his home NASCAR Grand Prix? He is non-championship point scoring, so is Olivier Hart. So this is for pride more than anything. And Villarino gets a good exit coming out of Adrian Campos, which draws him alongside on the left-hand side and gives him the inside line when they head up towards Aspar, which is where they'll be heading now. So Villarino should go through now up into 9th position and hang on to it. Now, is the door going to be left open by Ander Villarino when he escapes to allow maybe Luca Leclerc to sneak through as well? Or is Olivier Hart going to be wise to that? Olivier Hart, 2 wheels on the curb, locks the brakes, through goes Luca Leclerc, through goes Tomo Ferrando, and Tomo Ferrando is going to take Luca Leclerc as well. 3 wide coming out of the corner. Tomo Ferrando, is he going to get his nose ahead of Luca Leclerc? Luca will try and fight back on them up towards turn number 4. Not quite. Now Tomo Ferrando needs to close the door on Olivier Hart, which he manages to do. Right, that was all rather close there. Olivier Hart, though, is the man who lost out big time there. He was at the front of the queue heading out of turn number 14. By the time they get towards turn 4 on the next lap, he's at the back of the queue. Through, I'm afraid to say, has gone Ander Villarino. Through has gone Luca Leclerc, and through has gone the white and pink Alex Capi Motorsport Race Art Technology Ford of Tomo Ferrando. So Olivier Hart will also not only lose those 3 places, he will also drop off the Junior Trophy podium with that one as well, because Tomo Ferrando is still eligible for the Junior Trophies. He's been around forever, Tomo Ferrando, but he's still only 23 years of age. So that will move him up to 3rd in the Junior Trophy standings now in this race, which will have its own separate socially distanced podium after the race. So we are now on lap number 15. Over the start-finish line comes Alan Day, who, since taking the lead of the race, has slowly just edged away from Stinis Longines. The lead advantage is now above a second. It's 1.005 seconds is the gap, Alan Day to Stinis Longines. Loris Hasemans is a couple of seconds adrift of that. Nicola Rocca is 4th. Gianmarco Ercoli is still 5th and still just about hanging on to the lead for the Junior Trophy. Right behind him is still the 66 of Lasse Sorensen. And this is another fight that we've got going on. This is for 7th and 8th place. This is Francesco Cini and Mark Goossens fighting away. So the Solaris Motorsport Chevy, under pressure from the Cowl prepared, Ford that lies ahead. Now Gianmarco Ercoli is going to have to drive a really wide number 54 here for the remainder of the race, because if he wants to hang on to 5th and the lead of the Junior Trophy, he's got his hands rather full. Lasse Sorensen might get a bit of an opportunity here. No, not quite still. I thought Lasse Sorensen had drawn himself alongside to a larger degree than he had. It's not quite going to happen there for Lasse Sorensen, getting out of Bernard Martinez. And he's running out of time and running out of opportunities here is Lasse Sorensen. And of course, he's also down in 6th place, having closed the gap to 5 championship points over Alan Day yesterday. The gap's going to open up once more, because Alan Day would be on 285 points at the end of this race. And if Lasse Sorensen stays where he is, Lasse would be on 271 points. So the gap all of a sudden would open back up to 14 points. And guess what? That's what it was before we got any racing underway at the start of this weekend. So the gap would be back to what it was when we arrived here on Thursday. So over the start-finish line, they work their way onto the penultimate lap of the race. So lap number 17, one more to go after the one that they have now started. Gianmarco Ercoli under pressure from Lasse Sorensen for 5th and 6th place. Francesco Cini and Mark Goossens fighting away behind this pair. Still just nothing doing really for Lasse Sorensen. So this is 5th and 6th places, the 54 of Ercoli, the Cal Racing machine, ahead of the 66 Chevy of the reigning EuroNASCAR 2 champion. But more importantly, it's also for the top step or the second step of the Junior Trophy podium. For the moment, it's just about going the way of Gianmarco Ercoli. Both of these drivers have won races this year. Lasse Sorensen, remember, won the race yesterday, as well as having won at Solder. Gianmarco Ercoli returned to victory lane for the first time since 2018, when he won the second of the 2 races at Vallelunga, the NASCAR Grand Prix of Italy. So both of these drivers have tasted the champagne this year, and whilst they are not in the overall podium spots for this one, they are still wanting to try and get as many championship points as they possibly can, because remember, Lasse Sorensen, the number 66 car, 2nd in the championship standings. The car ahead of him, the 54 of Gianmarco Ercoli, is 3rd in the championship standings. So they're right at the sharp end of the overall championship, where every round counts this year as well. There's no joker rounds, there's no drop scores at all. You count every single round in the shortened championship. And they're about to head on to their final lap of the race. Is there anything at all that Lasse Sorensen can do to try and unsettle Gianmarco Ercoli? So here comes our race leader up towards Aspar for the final time. Alan Day starts the last lap of the race, and well, it's going to be a sweet victory, this one, if he can manage it, because it would move him to the top of the all-time winners list. He is currently tied on 22 wins with Ander Villarino, and if he can manage to just make it round this last, 4 kilometres, 2.5 miles, that would then move him onto 23 career wins, and he would be then the most successful driver in terms of race wins in EuroNASCAR Pro. He's not the most successful champion, because Villarino is a 3-times champion. Alan Day is only a 2-times champion at this stage, but he is, remember, the championship leader as we head into the finals meeting over the course of this afternoon and tomorrow. So Alan Day will make, I'm sure, if he takes the checkered flag first, a little bit of history in this one. Up towards Bernard Martinez he will head. Stinis Longines now nearly 1.5 seconds adrift. 3.5 seconds adrift off that is Loris Hasemans. So I think the top 3 are pretty much settled overall in the race now, as Alan Day is about to lick his way through turn number 11, which means there's only 3 more corners to go down the short straight in towards the third gear Championeros. Doesn't use all of the curves as much as he was doing in the early part of the race. Through the flat out turn number 13, all he needs to do is just get the braking point right for turn number 14, and the checkered flag will be ready for the Israeli driver to come through and claim his 23rd career win in the top flight of EuroNASCAR. Alan Day is going to claim the win, his 3rd win of the season, and that now means that he is top of the all-time winners list with 23 career wins in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Stinis Longines finishes his teammate in 2nd position, and Loris Hazeman's come through to complete the top 3. It'll be Nicola Rocca that finishes in 4th place, and the battle for the lead of the junior category just goes the way of Gianmarco Ercoli in the end, who was still chased over the start-finish line by Lasse Sorensen. So Gianmarco Ercoli, congratulations on winning the junior category. The leading challenger home for the amateur drivers in this category should be Dario Carzo, who is as yet to take the checkered flag, so I'll just hang on and wait until he grabs the checkered flag, and then that should confirm that he will stand on the top step of the Challenger podium. There he goes. Yep, checkered flag. Dario Carzo is the winner in the Challenger trophy. So for Alan Day, had to work hard, had to put his teammate Stinis Longines under pressure, and well, he now comes through to grab the win, moves himself onto 285 championship points for him. Lasse Sorensen finishing in 6th position would mean that he is on 271 points, which means that the gap was 5 points between the pair of them before the beginning of the race. Goes back to 14 points, which is, I say, what it was when we arrived at this circuit on Thursday. So Alan Day is going to be as pleased as punch with that one, because it strengthens his lead in the championship and also means that he returns to victory lane. So they will work their way around the track. Alan Day will bring the 24 in towards the pit lane and victory lane, and then we should have Andre down there to grab a quick interview with him. Remember, there's more action coming up as well over the course of today. That is the last of the standard rounds of the championship, because when we get to action later on in the day, the next action we'll have will be qualifying coming up later on over the course of early afternoon if you're watching in Central Europe, late morning if it's the UK, very early morning if you're watching over in the States. Thanks for joining us. And then we will have a EuroNASCAR 2 race, the first of the finals races, which is the double points ones to look forward to later on. Don't forget, you can also log on to our YouTube channel as well and follow us there, and click on the buttons to ensure that you receive all of the new content. You'll be notified as and when it arrives, so youtube.com/EuroNASCAR. Subscribe to the channel and make sure that you click on the right links so that when new content is added, you will automatically be notified of that. So into the pit lane come the cars, trundling their way back in. There's the number 22 of Nicola Rocca. We didn't see a great deal of the 22 in the race, but good fight from Nicola Rocca to bring that car home in 4th position after, I would say, disappointment yesterday from Nicola Rocca, because he finished down in 15th position off the lead lap, Nicola Rocca. So all did not go quite to plan for him yesterday, but a good run from, what was it, 8th on the grid to 4th position. A bit of overtaking to do, and came through with a reasonable haul of points, which is good news for Nicola Rocca, who's had a difficult season really, only lying 11th in the championship standings coming into that race. So Alan Day heads towards victory lane. We will await the confirmation that he is able to dive out of the Monster Energy backed PK Car Sport prepared number 24. So for the 23rd time in his EuroNASCAR Pro career, Alan Day claims the race victory and the maximum championship points. It means that he stretches back his lead overall in the championship standings as we head into the double points races for the EuroNASCAR Pro. Both of those double points races take place on Sunday for EuroNASCAR Pro in what is this 2nd day of the Valencia Super Speed Week. You can see what that means to Alan Day. He is as pleased as punch with that. That is now also meaning that he is atop of the all-time winners list in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. He's been trying to get there for a year or two. It wasn't helped by Ander Villarino claiming a couple of wins at his home NASCAR Grand Prix last year, which edged Villarino on to 22, but Alan Day has slowly been catching him up, chipping away, and now with his 3rd win of the season, that now moves him on to 23 career wins, so he goes to the top of the all-time winners list. Off comes the gloves. We will get the crash helmet off very shortly, and the balaclava, and then grab a word with our race winner, Alan Day, and that is going to give him great momentum as they'll head in towards qualifying later on this morning. And that qualifying session will be live as well. You won't miss any of the action here over the course of the qualifying sessions coming up and the 4 remaining races that we've got over the course of one of them this afternoon, 3 of them tomorrow. So on goes the cap, a choice of them. We'll go for the Stetson. That's the right thing to do. Hopefully on goes the mask as well. And then we will be able to have a quick word with our race winner. And now the man who's top of the all-time winners list, 22 career wins. Alan Day is down there with Andre.
Alan Day, your 23rd career win. You're the most winningest driver in EuroNASCAR history, and you expanded your championship lead. How do you feel?
I didn't even thought about it, to be honest. 2 more to go, 2 more races. I'm very happy, especially after yesterday, that we got a small heat in the wing of our aircraft. But I'm happy that we managed to make it today, and yeah, still 2 more to go. Great team, great teammate. I have to say, was a very tough fight, and I'm happy that we managed to fight clean and also keep all the opponents behind us, and at the same time finish 1-2. I think it's a great achievement for PK Car Sport and Heinz Performance. What can I say? Up to the next one.
All right, congratulations, your winner, Alan Day.
There we go, Alan Day, as he says, yeah, rightly so, yeah, that's a win, but concentrate on the next 2 races, because you could argue they're even more important, because the next 2 races he'll be racing in will carry those double championship points. So you certainly could get yourself in a good position at the beginning of the season, but you need to carry it all the way through. Quick look at the replay, side by side, up towards the first corner, Alan Day and Stinis Longines, but Stinis Longines swept his way around the outside to take up the lead of the race, whilst Mauro Trioni was tipped into a spin by the number 99 DF1 racing car of Justin Kuntz. That would see the Challenger Trophy Championship leader drop to the very tail end of the field. Stinis Longines took up the lead of the race with that move around the outside, but was always under pressure from Alan Day. The 2 PK Car Sport Chevys pushing each other as hard as they possibly can. Some good, some close, some pure, some clean racing. But every time Stinis Longines was put under pressure, he almost had an answer for Alan Day. And after a first attempt to try and take the lead of the race round through turn number 2, Alan Day had another little nibble a few laps later. He was allowed to propel himself up the inside. Stinis Longines again, for the second time, would brave it out round through turn number 2 on the outside and through turn number 3 on the outside. But as they went up towards turn number 4, Alan Day took a later entry into the corner, cut back on the exit and got up the inside by the time they got towards turn number 5. And with Stinis Longines out on the dirty piece of tarmac, he just didn't have enough grip to get the car turned in. So eventually Alan Day took up the lead of the race. And from there, he was just able to push himself through and into the lead. Locked brakes for Olivier Hart saw him lose 3 positions as Luca Lasser and Thomas Ferrando were able to squeeze their way through, and that dropped the 21-year-old Dutchman down through the order and dropped him off the junior podium as well. But Alan Day was just able to cling on to it, come through and grab the race win, his 23rd career win in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and that also moved him to the top of the all-time winners list in EuroNASCAR Pro. But as he said to Andre down there in victory lane, his focus now moves to, well, a mixture of the qualifying session that comes up later on today and, of course, those 2 all-important final races of the season, the double championship points races. So it's still all to play out here in our Valencia Super Speed Week at Circuit Ricardo Tormo. They're the scenes a few moments ago from victory lane. Alan Day standing on top of the Heinz Performance, Monster Energy-backed number 24 PK Car Sport Chevy, and absolutely delighted with what he has been able to do so far this weekend. So just to confirm the results then, subject to official confirmation, the win goes the way of Alan Day. That now, if I've got the maths right, puts him in the lead by 14 championship points. Second was Stinis Longines, and third was Loris Hazemans. Fourth was Nicola Rocca. Fifth, but the winner of the junior trophy, was Gianmarco Ercoli, ahead of Lassie Sorensen, who was 6th. Mark Goosens, Francisco Cini, Thomas Ferrando and Luca Lasser completed the top 10, with Olivier Hart, non-championship scorer, coming through in 11th place. Giorgio Maggi was 12th, and the winner of the Challenger Trophy, Dario Carzo, was 13th. Justin Kuntz was 14th. Alberto Panebianco was there in 15th place, with Patrick Lemery in 16th place. Then it was Yevgen Sokolovsky, Mauro Trioni, Ander Villarino and Davide Dallara. They were the 20 runners that we had. There's conversations going on. That's Anthony Koopman chatting away with Loris Hazemans, who is the reigning champion, and Alan Day, who's just won that race. But don't forget, we have plenty more action coming up. The next action we'll be going live with will be qualifying later on over the course of this morning. Qualifying will be 30 minutes for EuroNASCAR Pro, followed immediately by 30 minutes for EuroNASCAR 2. All of that will be streamed live as well. If you want to catch that, then the stream starts 12:40 Central European time. That is 6:40 Eastern time in the US. So from all of us here at Circuit Ricardo Tormo and the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, make sure you're back with us for qualifying later on. Until then, it's goodbye.